right, which seems a very, very good opportunity to bring in Jaqui Lane, our Australian correspondent. Have you ever had a cat or a dog, Jaqui?
I am just laughing, Michael. Have you never heard of a cat transport box?
Well, I didn't think I needed one. I was just, it was 3K, it's just down, yeah.
No. I inherited my son's kitten, and I'm really not a cat person. I like dogs. Anyway, he had 3 Drago flatmates, so I booted them out, and they left 3 kittens behind, and I ended up having to sort them all out. And anyway, I got them desexed and tagged and brought them all home and put them on Facebook. And Eddie, the cat, who's now my cat, was the only cat not taken. I've become quite fond of Eddie, but and he's kind of bulletproof, but I had to take him to the vet once. And I got a little cat transport, a plastic thing you can carry. Well, trying to get him in the thing was like, I ended up with kind of claw marks down my arms.
Yeah, that's right.
And then when he's in the thing, the yowling. I mean, it's a particular sound that a cat makes. And then I had to trudge down the hill to the vet, and he yowled the whole way. And I'm thinking, everyone's going to be thinking I am strangling this cat. And
it's
anyway,
a noise from the grave, isn't it, Jaqui?
Well,
I mean, it's a noise from the grave that they make. There's no.
It's a particular noise. Yeah.
I mean, and it shouldn't be imminent. It just shouldn't come out of that thing, but it does, and it's. I think they're demonic, aren't they? Aren't cats serious? I'm being quite serious here. If we're going to do spiritual bases of things into water and stuff like that, don't we now need to look at cats as sort of a metaphysical creature? Yeah.
Totally. So I was just laughing because when I first picked up these kittens, I was, I just grabbed them all and threw them in the car. No cat boxes, no nothing. And I had to drive about 15 k's to a vet, and I had these kittens bouncing around in the car, all 4 of them. I mean, fortunately, because they were kittens, they weren't kind of like your my cat as adults, but I had no idea initially that really you should put cats in cat boxes.
Yeah, well, I've learned now. No, I'm just going to abandon and that's the other problem. The cat boxes that they give you from the vets, Jack, often have got a front entry. You're absolutely right. This cat's not going in there. He's not going in there.
There's no way, because he's thinking he's going to hell. And the scratching and the yowling, and of course when I put Eddie the cat in this thing, I was walking with it. He was moving from one. I mean, trying to carry this thing is next to impossible.
Oh right, yeah. So he's moving from one side to the other and balancing it.
Trying to get out.
Get out.
It's like clawing through the grates. I mean, it was memorable, I tell you.
Every year my local vet sends me a notice saying your cat's due for, and I imagine it's shots and have a look over, and I've got some sort of pet insurance, mostly for the dog. I just go, sorry, and they say your cat's due, and I went, I know. There's no way in the world that I'm transporting my cat to your place. You come, do you do house calls? No. Well, there you go. But every year they ring me up and say it's time for this shot. So I went, well, we're going to miss it again this year. So. Oh, look,
I'm totally with you. If I even bring the cat transport box into the house, my cat just disappears. So it takes like about an hour to kind of coax them out, and then when you grab hold of them, you literally have to dress up like Michelin Man with gloves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. It's like having a beekeeper. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Hey, talking about Australia this week, something massive massive from an Australian point of view has just happened, is that the government have won, I see, the High Court deportation challenge. It's just, have you caught up with that?
No, I've been out. Oh, here we go. Yep, got that, yeah.
I'll read it to you. The government has the Australian government, successfully fended off a major legal challenge that would have seen up to 200 more immigration detainees released into the community. And now, you and I have talked about that because there's a nasty tendency for these immigration detainees to go and commit serious offences, yeah?
Yes, certainly has been.
Okay. The High Court dismissed the claim by a bisexual Iranian man. God knows why that's relevant, but he's bisexual.
Oh, no, it is relevant because in Iran, they lock up and sometimes kill, gay men. So,
okay. So, which is why he claimed refugee status.
Correct, because he couldn't go back there because he was in fear of his life. So, in this case, the reporting is correct.
Okay, who has been given the pseudonym ASF-17, who launched a bid for release from immigration detention earlier this year, claiming he was being unlawfully held.
Yeah.
An illegal sequel to last year's landmark High Court ruling outlawing indefinite detention that has seen 153 detainees freed. The appeal attempted to resolve the question of whether someone who refuses to cooperate with moves to deport them to their country of origin can continue to be detained if their own actions are inhibiting the government's ability to remove them. And apparently the government said, yes, we want to deport this dude. And he said, well, you can't, and you've got to let me go while I'm arguing the appeal. And I guess that's the other thing, is it? If I know I'm going to be deported by the government and you have to let me out of whatever facility it is, I just take off, do I?
Yeah. I think it's just a little bit more nuanced than this. So, so the key thing around this case and possibly others coming up was that he was not cooperating with authorities. Mm-hmm. So he was saying, you can't deport me. They're the government's trying to deport him and he's not cooperating, so the government wants to keep him in detention rather than let him into the community. So the case really is around, because the previous case was you cannot keep people in indefinite detention. So the nuance of this is the court is saying, well, because he's not cooperating, you can.
Can I ask the question of you, though, because Australians are a bit pissed off about this, aren't they? Because once the detainees get out, a number of them have committed various serious offences, rape, assaulting a grandmother and stuff like that. Are some of these detainees criminal background and nature?
Possibly. So most of the refugees or illegal migrants into Australia who come by boat don't have any paperwork. So it's almost impossible for anyone
to know their background.
To know their background. Now, the by boat mechanism is important because if you come by plane, obviously you've got to have a passport. It might be a fake one, but you've got to have one. So the issue around this is that you don't know what their background is. So they obviously first have to try and establish where they're from, why they're fleeing. Are they a genuine refugee, or they might be fleeing because whoever knows. So the issue around this particular cohort of refugees is very much that the government has to try and establish who they are, what their claims are they a proper refugee, blah, blah, blah. And then some of them have been out in the community and committed crimes and, various things. So it's a bit messy, but I would certainly think that the general community feeling is that it's not indefinite detention is not a great look. It's like keeping people on Nauru or Christmas Island forever, it's not humane.
Well, isn't it better than where they've come from?
Well, who are you and I to answer that, really?
Well, they left. They left to come to Australia. They knew that they were breaking the law.
They left to come somewhere, and if you were in fear of your life, you might leave too. But I think there is a community expectation that, I think that it's two things. One, if people are going to come here illegally, they really need to be processed efficiently and effectively, and a result. So that's why the indefinite detention thing is an issue. Having said that, really, it's not a great idea to let anyone out into the community if you suspect or if they have committed crimes, whatever. You need to lock them up and keep them there and deal with them.
Yep. No, fair enough.
Really.
Yes, and of course we're a bit lucky, aren't we, in New Zealand, because there's a bit more distance between us and the source of those people traffickers are essentially coming out of Indonesia and places like that.
Yeah, and also the top of the, we've talked about that before. The top of Australia is very, very close to, lots of islands. So it's not a difficult kind of lengthwise, and also the water's a lot warmer than going across the Tasman.